Right, that should be it.
Yep.
As always, guys, there is a delay on these streams, so you're going to have to bear with us on that. But please let us know as soon as you can see us. It's just come through on our sort of preview screen here, so you should be seeing us by now. Thank you everybody for coming to join us. And although I've done streams with both Neil from Rack and Load and Sam from SRS Power, this is my first stream on English Shooting with somebody else, but somebody that you should all be very familiar with. It is, of course, Connors from Magload, and we are here in the Bluefield Sports gun room, so we have all of the guns to be able to talk about. If there's anything that you saw in my preview video that you want us to talk about or show you that you want to see up close, then please just let us know. But who's the guy on the left? Well, which left? Because he's on my left.
No, you're on the left. This is nobody.
So yes, I'm sure there's going to be a few jokers around, mainly Arius. So yeah, basically there was no plan for tonight. I just wanted to start getting into the swing of it with live streams again. I find it a really good way to sort of interact with you guys, talk directly, answer any questions directly. So fire away. Any questions that you have that you want to ask, either to both of us, directly to Connors, directly to me, then go for it. And we'll wait eagerly for your questions. So in terms of a little update, I made a quick video about our epic trip to Sweden. That was quite an experience, certainly nearly killed Connors doing that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It was
wasn't easy.
It was a pretty epic expedition. That was, of course, all for Gunroom TV. We covered the British team while we were out there and saw loads of top-level shooters, of course, Jerry Michalak, Lena Michalak. I could go on. There was Pia Klatia. She's quite a prominent Swedish shooter. There's going to be an interview on Gunroom TV with her. And I said to Connors at the time, she sort of reminded me a little bit of a sort of a female and prettier version of myself. She's
definitely far more intelligent than you'll ever be.
Yeah, well, that's not difficult. She is very into the EU gun ban, and she's quite a big combator against that, basically. She's got a huge voice and huge saying, so keep an eye out on Gunroom TV for that interview. But to sort of stand and chat with her and talk about, you know, the political side of guns and seeing that actually Sweden are pretty much in the same sort of scenario that we are, although I think overall we're a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, if you've been to a live stream before, there are going to be moments where I'm going to have to sit and go through comments and questions, so you have to bear with us on that, but I want to try and answer as many as possible.
Here's a question then. How would you deal with anti-shooters when out shooting?
So dealing with anti-shooters, I mean, both Connors and I would say are probably not the best people to ask, because I'm assuming that you're talking about when you're out in the rough, when you're out in the field and all that. And although we've started doing a fair amount of that, we go pigeon shooting quite regularly and we're out and about on the estate, it's quite closed off here. We're quite lucky that we don't really come across people. I think the best thing really is to just be polite. You know, if they start becoming violent towards you, call the police. If you feel threatened at any point, call the police. Of course, involving firearms and the police doesn't usually end well, but you've just got to be responsible and be polite to them and try and engage with them, because a lot of antis, you know, before we started doing a lot of rough shooting, we were sports shooters, and actually antis go, well, they see somebody with a gun and they think, well, you're out there killing things, and that's not always the case. So maybe just explain a bit more about what you're doing and why. I saw a question that is definitely more for you, which is, are there any new products in the pipeline for Magload for the 1522?
That's a good question. We've always got lots of new products in development, many of which will never see the light of day. But a couple of things we're still keen on pushing forward on would be the forward charging handle for the 1522. The disposable muzzle brake is coming along really nicely. It's probably less disposable than we originally thought it would be. It's standing up to some pretty hard use so far, and we're actually looking at ways of making it even more durable than it currently is. So still looking at an economical muzzle brake, but something that's actually going to be useful for quite a long time. We have recently changed the hardware on the ambidextrous mag release. It's not necessarily for 1522 because it was already designed for that, but it's actually now compatible with even more guns. Pretty much any AR-15 platform it will now work with. And we are working on...
Well, why don't you go and... We've got a load of stuff there, so why don't you grab one? So, of course, Magload is based here at the sort of Bluefield Sports estate, and we have the wall of tactical, as we like to call it, or practical, which I think would be probably more appropriate.
Wall of practical.
The wall of practical, and we have both Connors' 1522, and this is something I just want to take the opportunity to sort of clarify. Is that, so yeah, we got onto that in a second. So for the purposes of clarity and not getting myself into trouble, as I so often seem to do, if I refer to a gun as my gun, that doesn't mean that it's on a license or my license. So I did get into a little bit of trouble of giving the wrong impression that I owned guns again by referring to guns as my guns. All of the guns that used to be on my ticket are stored here at Bluefield Sports. So there's there's my granddad's shotgun, there's the Silver Pigeon, and there's also the 1522. So both Connors' 1522 and my 1522, the one that I bought a number of years ago, are both here. So let's have a talk about it, really.
There's not a lot going on here that you haven't seen already. We've got the carbon fibre handguard, which we are still developing. We've been testing it. It's holding up to lots of use, but we want to add a couple more features to it before we release it. The muzzle brake is, I don't know how well you can be able to see that, if at all, but it is holding up well. We've probably got, I want to say, about 8,000-9,000 rounds through it so far. No serious signs of wear on that at all. There's nothing else on this gun.
Well, just to point out as well that this is, I think a lot of you guys will know about Connors and I with 3D printing, that we're both we're big into it. This is 3D printed, you know, and it goes to show. A lot of people say, well, you can't get strength in 3D prints. They're not reliable. They're not durable. But as you said, 9,000-10,000 rounds gone through it.
That's down to how you use 3D printing. At the end of the day, there's lots of sort of hobbyist machines and stuff out there. We're using commercial machines, commercial techniques to make this stuff. Someone asked about what's your opinion on wearing camouflage whilst practical shooting. As Mochaccino says, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to wear any any camouflage at all.
And I think there's the sort of genuine reason of it, which is you want to disassociate yourself from the military, because that's what the sort of antis and the news have picked up on recently, is that, supposedly we're military training, which is absolute nonsense. We've both in various aspects had contact with people that do train various military personnel, and the tactics, the teaching, the instructions are completely different. Like, yes, in terms of using the gun, in terms of acquiring a target, it's pretty much the same. But in terms of the tactics of practical shooting, if you employed the same tactics within a war zone, you wouldn't last very long, basically. No, camo is a no-go. This is why we tend to wear shirts like this. Connors he's not wearing his Magload competition shirt, but we want to portray the image of what it is, which is a sport. It's an international sport, and certainly seeing that out at the Rifle World Shoot, the different colours, and they're big on their flags, representing their country, and that's what we want to show more. So camo makes it a little bit easier for the antis to sort of pick holes in our sport.
Someone's here is talking about 2.2 long barrel pistols. We have a few of them here to show you, and what the coat hanger looks like. So this is a 2.2 long barrel pistol. This is It's made by Walther. It is a PPQ in 2.2.
Comes from the factory.
Comes from the factory from Walther. Here is our coat hanger. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is a 2.2 pistol with its long barrel and its extension at the back, if you can see that there. We also have
something a little sexier.
This is also a 2.2. This is a Browning Buckmark. It would have started life as a rifle, and then
and these were actually the first long barrel pistols in the UK?
So a gentleman named Alan Westlake converted these to pistols from the original Browning Buckmark rifle. But to the person asking if they're just 2.2, no. This is a 357 Chiappa Rhino revolver with a long barrel. This is a barrel shroud over the actual barrel itself, and its coat hanger at the back, but it is a full bore 357.
And again, this comes from the Chiappa factory.
Yeah, this is made by Chiappa to be like this. There was someone in the UK trying to bring in raced Chiappa revolvers.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of politics behind that, but these are not the revolvers that he was trying to bring in. These are just factory standard guns.
And this is, we've seen an evolution within long barrel pistols and long barreled revolvers in recent years. So this is where it started, and that is started as a rifle and basically got bits lopped off of it. So you can see on the back there where the original stock would have come off, and then there was it was the GSG 1911 Mark 1, and that was bought in. I believe it was the Tunnel that was originally doing that, and what they were doing is buying in the bits and then assembling them within the UK and modifying them within the UK. Now, unfortunately, the Mark 1 didn't have a good reputation for reliability, and then GSG saw the market. They were saying, well, we've never sold this many guns to the UK. Why is this going on now? And they explained that they're making long barrel pistols. So GSG decided from the factory, and then others have sort of followed suit. So the Walther PPQ, it is a bona fide Walther. Unfortunately, and this always sort of makes me laugh. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a super high quality long barrel pistol. The only addition from standard here is that it's got the Magload carbon fibre shroud, which is an absolute must. Alex Florence, who's one of sort of Team Blue, won the NRA handgun league with one of these. He runs the shroud as well. But sometimes it gets let down, so you can see in there how it's bonded in. Now, if you were to try and rip that out of it, you're going to break the gun before it comes loose. So it is bonded in there well. But these are some of the things that obviously Walther wouldn't necessarily do if given the choice, but they have to because of the UK market. So yes, you can own handguns within the UK.
Yeah, and in answer to Ben Stevens' question, you can't have a 2.2 pistol that's not long barreled. They all have to be long barreled. There are a few more questions on here.
Well, the specific law on that is, so the reason that they take this form is that within the UK you don't have the definition between a handgun or a rifle or something. It's either a short gun or a long gun. What we're allowed to own is anything that has a barrel over 12 inches or a total length of over 24. So that's why you end up with this 12-inch barrel, and that's why you end up with the rod, so it makes the overall length 24. As long as you can get the gun to comply with that, and then obviously, not having a full bore semi-auto, that's why we can only have revolvers in full bore cartridges. As long as you can get it to confine with that, then you're going to be fine and be able to have as close to a pistol as you can have.
Here's a question from your George. UK PSA or NRA safety course for practical shooting? Well, it depends how much practical shooting you want to do. If you want to do lots and lots of practical shooting abroad, internationally, or even just around the country here, it's got to be a UK PSA one because it's the only one that will qualify you to shoot IPSC shooting. And the NRA course is it's more of an all-round thing to do with all sorts of shooting.
So the way that I understand it between the two is that the NRA is more of a safety course to make sure that you are safe to be on Bisley and take part in their league. and although the UK PSA safety course is about safety as well, it is a little bit more of training for matches. And
the UK PSA one will issue you a competition license,
Yes.
which the NRA one can't do.
So, and where the competition license comes in is that the UK PSA is the UK governing body for IPSC. IPSC is like FIFA for practical shooting. They are the top international body for practical shooting. So the World Shoot is put on by IPSC. If you want to go and
Not
say
put
that,
on, but
well,
sanctioned
it's sanctioned by. So if you want to be the world champion at practical shotgun, at rifle, or at handgun within practical, it has to be a IPSC World Shoot. Otherwise, you're just imitating. It's just not, though it's like saying, it's like somebody holding a World Cup of football and it not being FIFA. There is only one World Cup. Now, I've never actually shot a match in either UK PSA or NRA, but I've been around both of them a fair amount. And I have to say the standard within UK PSA is a lot higher. You get the best shooters within the UK shooting at it, and at the end of the day, those are the shooters that go off internationally.
That's not to say that you don't get the best shooters in the UK shooting NRA, because you do. Over here, I think there are quite a few people who shoot both leagues and enjoy them both just as much.
Yeah.
But if you're asking specifically about the safety course, it should be a UK PSA one.
Yeah.
But competitions, go to them all.
Well, yes, and I would encourage that.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are well aware of my friction with the NRA. At the end of the day, they offer shooting. The practical leagues that they put on are really well run, and it offers more shooting up and down the UK, and you just cannot. You cannot slate that.
Yeah.
So go to both of them. If you want to do a UK PSA course, you might be very lucky to have Connors as your instructor. So
maybe
that's also one of the things that Bluefield Sports is offering in terms of safety courses and instruction and training. So if you are interested in doing anything from a UK PSA safety course to just basic training or a firearms experience, then drop a line down to Bluefield Sports, because you'll have Connors and a load of guns to play with.
Potentially.
Everything that you can legally shoot, of course.
Yes.
So I saw that Mochaccino asked if we will be doing Action Air. Yes. I don't know when. I've been meaning to do it myself for a long time. I know that Connors has been meaning to do it for a long time.
My race gun is built, as Mochaccino himself will actually know.
Yeah. Well, you've both got the CZs now, don't you?
We've both got the CZ Shadow 2. And we're both planning to, he's going to be using it in competition, and I hope to come and use it in competition as well with him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we actually have a fair amount of air guns here, or airsoft guns, or action air guns, whatever you want to refer to them. Basically, there's somebody that works here sort of part-time and helps out certainly with some of the films, a guy called Ryan. He's actually appeared in some of the videos.
Yeah.
And the other night, we ended up having a fairly big outright war in the car park with the airsoft guns. So there's a range of rifles and pistols and handguns. So we've got all the gear. We might not have any idea, but I think
you might not have any idea.
Yeah, but we will go and try it out and see how it goes.
So NG is asking, is it possible to remove the extended barrel on an LBP and add a permanent suppressor? Technically yes, but the suppressor would have to be permanent, and there's lots of reasons not to have a permanently mounted suppressor, such as once it's shot out.
There's that. The PPQ actually comes with a variant that is integrally suppressed.
Yeah.
So you can get that option. You can do it. No, I don't think there's any here, but Bluefield Sports can get them in. Yes, in terms of competition shooting, why would you need the suppressor? Why it's not going to gain you anything, and I don't think you're going to really be using this out in the field.
No, I would actually, if you're intending to take the gun into competition, I would warn against using a suppressor. Shot timers have a very hard time picking it up. It's hard enough to pick up 2.2 as it is.
So where I actually first started practical shooting was in a place called Phoenix over in Slingford, just outside Guildford. And they had the stipulation, and it always made me laugh, is that you're allowed to shoot shotguns there, 12 gauge shotguns, as much, practical shotgun, as much as you want, but if you were to shoot rifle, they had to be moderated, which I thought was a bit bizarre.
It's a range condition, though.
It's a range condition, but if they're shooting 12 gauge, why can't they shoot 2.2s? Now, the having the moderators caused havoc with the shot timers. They were always missing shots. It was sometimes it wouldn't go off. So don't do it to yourself. If you want a race gun, if you want a competition gun, don't worry about it being suppressed. The only consideration is hearing protection, but just get a decent set of plugs or over ears, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, agreed.
So
Aaron has asked, I know he asked this question earlier, we didn't get to it, how a 1500 or a Remington 700 for competitive 308?
Well, I think we can answer certainly how Alex thinks of that question. The Hauer is you can get a great kit price with it. It's a great rifle out of the box. Some of you will know that at one point I had a Remington 700. That's obviously the one that I would recommend, and that's because of how configurable it is. And this is a prime example right here. So this is one of the, now I can't remember exactly, but it's either a stock rifle or a personal rifle.
Okay, I'm going to talk, but I'm not coming on camera.
So Alex has this thing of not being on camera, and we've tried and tried and tried. So he is in the background there. So Alex is the owner of Blue Field Sports, the gun room here, and also co-founder of Gunroom TV as well. So is this stock or?
So no, that's my personal rifle. That's the first rifle that I built to go long range with.
Okay, so he built this from the ground up. It's on his personal ticket. So obviously he would recommend the 700 as well. But
I would say built. It's a standard shot. It's a standard gun. It's a Remington 700 tactical. It's the Vortex scope and a Wildcat moderator.
I'd recommend a 700 as well, just because of the variety of options in
that's
terms of upgrading and building them.
The biggest thing here is the magazine. So this is the Magpul upgrade. I believe, and it's just a bolt in. You can take it out, bolt it straight in. There were loads of different options that I was looking at getting for mine when I had it, including the Accuracy International stock. That was always on my wish list. Unfortunately, they're very expensive. So in terms of customizing it, in terms of the availability of parts, definitely the 700. You can tune it to be an incredibly accurate rifle. If you're just looking for a budget out-of-the-box rifle to just get you started, you're not going to go wrong with the Hauer.
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there on blueprinting Remington 700 actions, which is actually something really important if you're going for extra long range.
Well, yeah, and then
and actually go and spend another £1,000 and buy one of these.
Yeah,
because that's what you really want.
So if you want to get into serious, well, we can go one more in a second. So if you want to get into like real serious shooting, so this is the Tikka TAC A1, and this is about what's the retail on this?
They retail at just over 2,000, but realistically people sell them for 1,700.
So you can pick them up for about 1,700 quid. You've got the collapsible stock on it. You've already got the magazine, you've got the sort of AR style, and this is compatible with all AR parts, isn't it? So you can put an AR grip on it, AR forend. It doesn't come with the bipod. It comes with one hell of a muzzle brake as standard, and this is a real tack driver.
That's not a muzzle brake.
It's not. Like again, if you want to, so we've royally got into it now. We can't keep up. So you want to talk about proper muzzle brakes. I've actually got a video going out tomorrow about the upgrade of my. Hold off on that for a second.
No. Off. Hush your buns. That's not a muzzle brake. This is a muzzle brake.
So if we've now got out of the whole realm of 308 and we are very much into 338 Lapua. So this is a new gun that's come in. Do you want to bring it a bit closer? Yeah. Yeah, you're struggling. It's a weighty gun. So this is the Ruger Precision 338 Lapua. You can get it in a 308, and I would say actually the Tikka TAC A1 and the Ruger Precision in 308 are very comparable rifles. I believe the TAC A1 is slightly more expensive, but 338 Lapua. Unfortunately, we have not had a chance to shoot it down here.
We are waiting on a scope for this.
So that rifle is actually going to be a project rifle for Gunroom TV. I think all of us here don't have a huge amount of long range experience. When I mean long range, I'm not talking about not right now. We got onto that. We have a bit of a joker piece in a minute. We've never really done long range, and when I mean long range, I don't mean like 600, 800, even 1,000 yards. I mean out and beyond, and that's what the Ruger Precision is there to do. Is sort of a beginner's guide, a dummy's guide really to long range shooting. So we've got a load of projects planned with that. We're actually in partnership with Country Sports Warehouse. They have said that they are going to supply a fairly beefy Vortex Razor HD to go on that. So we're just waiting for that, and then we're going to announce it on Gummer TV. But of course, as always, there'll be loads of behind the scenes stuff with English Shooting where I can.
Let's catch up with a couple of these questions. So Reese Hughes, you had a pretty quick to answer question. What hearing protection would you recommend for a 17-year-old who has to wear shooting glasses? In-ears. Anything in-ear won't affect your...
And specifically, and you guys will know my sort of partnership with Custom Fit Guards and relationship that we've had over the years. I would highly recommend Richard at Custom Fit Guards. He's just grown and grown and grown the company. The variety of options and colours and customizations that you can have now. And I'm now on, I think it's my 3rd set, and he said that I need to go up there maybe for my 4th set, because again, he's got more technology that he wants me to try.
Yeah.
And Connor's actually had some moulds made at the Northern Shooting Show, and again we're just waiting to go up there to have them finished off.
He's actually waiting on me because I've asked him to put the Magload logo in it. Therefore he needs the Magload logo made very, very small so we can fit it on a set of guards. So we need to make that on one of the printers at some point in the near future.
We're hoping to get round to that this week, and then we'll be going up there. So if you watch the video on Gummer TV with Connor's having them fitted, we will eventually go up to Custom Fit Guards again to watch the completion of them.
Spotted the question about AR-15.
Explain that, because people want to know, and it's a very poignant thing. And that gun particularly comes, I don't know if they can actually hear me, comes from the US just without the gas parts in it.
Okay. So yeah, this is a AR-15 or AR-10 specifically, because it's a 308. But
so what was the question?
The question was, can we have AR-15s in the UK?
Yeah, so that's from Kieran. So he asked, that Kieran was responding to it. Oh yeah, Buzz and Gamer, can we own an AR-15 in the UK?
We just have to have this straight pull charging handle fitted to it, because they are non-reciprocating. They're not self-loading rifles.
So if you turn that one round, you can see it comes from the US, because it's actually got semi written on the safety.
So you guys saw earlier that we had the 1522s. Now we're allowed semi-automatic AR style rifles in 2.2, but because of the laws here, we can't have semi-auto full bore rifles, and this is what led to the straight pull, and that's what Connor's has just shown there. This one has actually been converted. So as Alex was saying, it's a CMMG, it's an American gun, it's come over...
Correct, not converted. They're made in the factory without having the gas tube and gas block put on.
Yes.
They were so the barrel was never drilled for the gas block.
What I mean is
they've never left fitted. But so they've come over here without the charging handle on here. And I'm not sure which company, but a company has removed the brass deflector and fitted...
Oh, it's Guncraft.
Is it Guncraft?
It's Guncraft, yeah.
And they've done a milling job on that spot.
So we did find it quite difficult, actually, to rack it using the charging handle being 308. So having something a bit more beefy on there to get on it makes it a lot easier. So
this is typically what you'd see competitors in the UK using, would be a side charging handle like this.
And they're very popular within CSR. So if this sort of rifle and sort of the rundown style of shooting appeals to you, then the NRA runs civilian service rifle, and this is the style of gun that they use. Now, there are loads of options within the UK, and I think we can't talk about CSR and straight pull rifles without giving mention to some pretty sad news within the British community or shooting community, that Mark Bradley passed away recently. Now, Mark Bradley is one of the biggest names within straight pull ARs within the UK, and it was pretty much, if you wanted a rifle built to win, you went to Mark Bradley. There are other people as well, so there's Southern Gun Company, Northwest Custom Parts make them, I believe Guncraft sells some, who else? Caliber Innovations as
yes,
well.
You can't forget about Caliber Innovations.
No.
Because the Siscar is one hell of a gun.
Yeah, and the Siscar is proving to be very popular. So there is, going even further from just the question of can you own an AR-15 within the UK, there are actually many businesses that specifically focus on AR-15s for the UK market because we want to be able to have as many guns as the Americans have, and we just have to modify them slightly to, so again, not modify, but have them different to the guns that are out there in the States. And then if we, bringing that out to...
I was going to say don't.
No,
it's legal.
So
I know they're
it's still legal.
Okay.
So here we have a gun that's...
So this is in response to the question from Joshua, have Mars and lever release rifles been banned now?
The sale of them have been banned. So you cannot buy one of these now, but this is again another gun that's on Alex's personal ticket. So he owns it. The police have not yet said what to do with it. As soon as they do, he's going to dispose of it in the means that they ask him to. But yeah, you can't go and buy one now. This is the Mars VZ58. It's got the manually actuating release system.
I think that's what it stands for, yeah.
So, and I think I've shown this on English Shooting before, but the way that it works is you fired your shot, the bolt will come back, it locks into place, and then you pull the trigger again. That releases the bolt without firing a shot, and then you can fire another shot. So for every 2 pulls of the trigger, you're going to get a shot.
It builds some very bad habits, that's all I can say.
It does.
And if I'm honest, they're going to stop making them now, so sorry, Caledonian, but they were rubbish rifles in the first place.
Yeah, they were a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I really never saw one as a serious competition rifle. And
the Southern Gun ones were epic.
Yes.
The lever release were fantastic.
The other variant that was referred to was the lever release, and again we know a few people that own them. It's just got a lever on the other side which you pull the trigger, it goes bang, the bolt comes back, it locks into place, you flick a lever, that then releases. So you can get a fairly good rhythm, and basically what the UK, as I'm sure a lot of you already know, is that they said, well, that's flying too close to the sun, it's too close to the rate of fire of a semi-auto, so we're going to ban them. Now, my personal view is I don't see any reason why semi-autos under licensing and under the licensing system that we have should be why they shouldn't be legal.
I think we're going to stop him there because this is turning into a typical English shooting rant, and that's
but
not what
they've
I'm here
tuned
for.
in. They're not a mag
You have someone here who you might remember, Carl Volt. So this was from when we were filming out in Sweden, and Callum left his tripod on a stage, and competitors were trying to steal it so that they could use it as a monopod.
Yes, Carl. Yeah, I am very, very grateful. So yeah, Carl Volt there. So to put into context, the Rifle World Shoot, it was about a 45-minute drive from the first stage from the first stage at the very back of the range right until the last stage. And it was like a 5-minute drive in between stages. We were on this massive weapons testing facility. If you haven't seen the video, go and check it out because Connor's almost got blown up.
I nearly got blown up, run over, and shot.
Yes, it was not a good week for you.
It was not a good week.
But Carl was actually one of the ROs on one of the stages. I turned up, got some footage, and ended up leaving my monopod there. Now, one of the things about IPSC rifle shooting at the moment is that every competitor seems to have about 5 or 6 different bipods. So they actually have duffel bags full of bipods. And with the monopod looking quite bipod-like, I think there was a number of people trying to steal it. So
I think they wanted to steal it because it was rapid adjust. But
yes,
Maglobe says, watch this space.
Yes, so Connor's got a few ideas and thinking of doing.
Obviously, one of our sponsored shooters, Ben Ducker, was out there shooting very, very well. And him and James Nixon, I think, were talking about how to make a monopod that's rapid to adjust. So that is something in the pipeline, but not in the very near future.
And there is definitely a gap in the market there, because what a lot of people, and this was really interesting to see, I'm sure that IPSC are going to end up changing the rules on bipods, but a lot of shooters were starting with a bipod, taking some sort of kneeling shots or even prone shots, and then they would release it and leave the bipod on the stage and run full pelt, or even they would take some sort of prone shots at the end and then run down, and they'd be like running while trying to adjust the rifle. So something that's sort of quick release, and also quick adjust. So it should go down very well with an IPSC.
So I know you said to me before we started this stream we should ignore Dan Smerald at all costs, but he's asking direct questions now.
No, we love you, Dan. Yes, we do have your very special rifle here. Alex is just going to grab it. So this, I'm sure, if you're any sort of a shooter, any sort of a fan of firearms, you're going to know what this gun is. And I think it's about time we did a video on it with Dan. And
well, I think before we do a video on it, I need to finish it.
Yes. So this is actually in for some custom work with Connors. Now, it's lovely, isn't it? It's obviously a Delisle. This isn't an original Delisle. This is one that Daniel spent a lot of money on getting customized. So it started life as a normal Enfield. It was actually Caliber Innovations and Ali at Caliber Innovations that did all the work. So what it's in for at the moment?
Well,
it's
got a few niggles. So the magazine needs a positive stop. So we're working on that. And Dan has managed to source an original Lancaster rear sight for this, which is in the process of being cleaned up and is going to be going onto this rifle.
But it is,
It's probably so. I've seen a lot of replica Delisles made here in the UK, and this is by far the cleanest example I've ever seen.
But the funniest story, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Daniel. So the forend there is new. It's not original, and I believe to try and get it a slightly more rustic look, there were some stairs involved, and throwing it around the workshop. So there are some dings and dents in it, because of course it is an original stock on there, so it's just to match it a little bit more. But a lovely gun, and the story as well, like Daniel's explained, and again, if I get any of this wrong, please tell me. I'll just put this down for a sec.
Yeah, go put it over there.
Oh, it was a big sec. So it was actually Daniel explained that he had it built so that him and his father can actually shoot it together, which I think is really, really sweet. And again, I made the video on how I got into shooting. It was with my granddad, so I understand that having that sort of parental or even that sort of grandparental, whatever the word would be, relationship with shooting, it's just a really nice thing. So again, let's have a. Okay, so I can see an answer about.
Just go self-defense.
No, don't.
No. So Connors will stay quiet on this.
No, Connors is going to get up and leave if you start ranting.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to find the original comment. So where is it?
Right. So
here we go. So Mr. Me, what is the status of your people regaining any semblance?
Any semblance of self-defense?
So, as I understand it, it's not even legal for you to use a firearm in self-defense. Is that true? Now, I'm not going to get into my opinions on it.
Good.
I'm going to keep it calm and level, because we all know what happens when I start talking about guns and self-defense.
He gets a slap.
So the law is that you are allowed to use reasonable force in self-defense within the UK. And that's with anything, not just a gun. That's with golf clubs, baseball bats, or knives. If you feel that you are at risk, or your life is at risk and danger, you are allowed to use reasonable force to defend yourself. If you happen to be a legal firearms owner within the UK, and there is a scenario where you feel endangered and you have your gun and you use that gun, it is lawful. There are a number of cases that people have used their guns in self-defense and not gone to prison.
In answer to the question,
so you can use a gun for self-defense.
You can use it, but you cannot own a gun for self-defense.
You cannot own anything. It doesn't even there is no separation between guns and anything else when it comes to self-defense. You are not allowed to own any object at all for self-defense. However, if you feel your life is in danger, you are allowed to use any object in self-defense. So
with reasonable force.
Yes. So if someone comes up to you with a baseball bat and use a shotgun on them, you're going to have to argue that that was reasonable. If someone comes up with a gun and you use a gun against them or a knife or something, then that's going to be a little bit more reasonable. But probably just for no, Arius, no slap, thank you very much, no. So yes, we'll move on from self-defense because it always seems to.
You know Arius?
Yes, it is. I blew his cover. Yes, got a license for that assault spoon. If people are watching the state of the UK at the moment in terms of our self-defense and knife laws,
Tesco's are.
Yeah, they are literally IDing people in shops for spoons. That is the level of
I think the whole story is more likely that the spoon is part of a cutlery set containing a knife, but the fact that people are being ID'd to buy knives is another thing entirely.
Well, again, I agree with limiting it to over 18s in terms of knives and things like that, but when it's a cutlery set that anybody can go and get from a kitchen drawer, like what are they actually doing?
Here's a good question from Voldombo. If you carry your weapons to the shooting range, are you allowed to go to the guns? Are you allowed to go to the store, or should you go straight to the shooting range? Your gun should be secured if you need to stop at a shop or something on the way to the range, but what you're not allowed to be doing is walking around with it in a public place. So you would either lock it in your car or have it, if you have to carry it with you, slipped and not easily recognisable as a gun. Not because you'd be breaking any laws per se, but because you would cause a panic. But there is a law against carrying a firearm in a public place, so you have to have good reason, which would be stopping at the shop on the way to the range. And
that's what it comes down to, is good reason. If you are stopped by the police with a gun, you have to give a good reason to them why you had it. So I made a video a number of years ago when I was studying in London. I was having to transport firearms on the tube, and again, I had good reason. I was taking them from home and I was taking them to the range. And if I was stopped, I could explain that. And another scenario that I ended up getting into was in terms of knives. So obviously there are certain laws on what you can and can't carry within the UK. I think is it 3 inches and it can't be a locking knife?
Under 3 inches, cannot be locking, but it can be fixed blade.
So that's what you can carry on a day-to-day basis. You don't need any justification for that. You don't need any reason for it. It's legal to carry. However, again, in certain circumstances, you're going to need to carry bigger knives. So when I was moving into my halls in London, I was taking stuff from my house down in Portsmouth up to London. And there was one point where I had a duffel bag with a kitchen knife which was like 10 inches long. Well, if I was stopped by the police at that point, I'm moving in. Again, I've got spatulas and pots and pans in the duffel bag. I could quite easily justify why I had it on. So again, you need to be sensible. And the one thing
I think we want to sort of address this. Chris Cato says a car still is classed as a public place. If your car is classed as a public place, I'd be extremely worried. I might want to check that out.
So,
on the topic of knives still.
So do you take that one? Call that a knife?
You are not allowed to carry this.
So yes.
In any shape or form.
If you fancy being Dundee, going down your local high street with this on your belt, you're probably going to get in quite deep trouble. However, it's not illegal to own one of these. It's a collector's piece. Just like you can own samurai swords, you can own...
specific laws around that.
But you can. There are ways to own a samurai sword.
There are ways. It's not called a samurai sword.
But this it's a showpiece. It's never going to be used out, for any real purpose. It's just an absolutely awesome showpiece. The other one that
part of a much larger collection that I have of knives too.
Yes, if you're into your knives, I would definitely recommend coming down to Bluefield Sports because Alex, I think, has more knives than I've ever seen anybody have. But that's part of the Dundee set. But this one that Connors was showing is the actual replica of the Dundee knife. Obviously, a very famous movie knife.
Marty Secker, what do we think of the 22 WMR semi-auto like the Spikes Tactical? We are very, very keen to see a 22 WMR semi-auto running. Callum has gone off to get one that we have in at the moment, which I believe is Is it still undergoing repair, or is it all good to go now?
No, it's good to go.
Right, so this is the Guncraft 22 WMR, which we will probably be doing a video
on. Yes, so to sort of come clean on this one, we were sent down a couple of 22 WMRs. One which was Dan Smeralds, who's on the chat here, and one for Alex. And unfortunately, there were a few problems with it. The reliability wasn't the best. Now, these are new guns. Like, the first time that Guncraft had brought them in, you're always going to get some teething issues, and that's why initially we didn't put out any sort of videos, because we didn't want to say it doesn't work when it was just a minor change that needed to be made. So he's made the changes, it now runs flawlessly. Alex is really happy with it, so we will be making a video, and of course we will talk about them in the video, but
I would like to see it running flawlessly before I pass comment.
Yes, yeah,
but
Connor still hasn't, and I haven't seen
the guns are well built. There are just a few tuning issues, let's say, which may have worked on the initial prototype, but obviously having issues with production guns. But Robert Guncraft has been very good about taking the guns back and getting them fixed.
And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And Connor knows this all too well with Magload. Like, I cannot critique Magload or criticise Magload in terms of service for customers and things like that. But no matter how well you design something, how well you test something, every now and then you're going to get something wrong. Like, something's going to go wrong. The way you deal with that is, in my mind, customer service, and that's how you build relationships with your customers. It's not how you deal with somebody when everything's going right. It's how you deal with them when they're going wrong. And that Rob has been fantastic with it and has worked with Alex and with Dan. I know Dan has been a little annoyed how long it's taken. Unfortunately, that's just one of those things. But as far as we know, they are now up and running, and we will be doing a video shortly about it.
And as Dan says, bravo to Rob for making sure they're 100%. Because it's all too easy. And we've seen it from gun manufacturers where they will sell you a gun that doesn't work and then just leave you to it. So congratulations, or sort of kudos to Rob for actually sticking with it and trying to get these guns running.
And again, on the customer service, if you are looking at a 22 WMR, Guncraft is an option. Of course, there's Wayne at Northwest Custom Parts, and I've been up there a few times and I know Wayne fairly well. He builds 22 WMRs, so check both of them out. And we won't comment about 22 WMRs anymore, because there's been various things.
Callum gets into trouble when he talks about 22 WMRs for too long.
And so does Dad, actually.
Moving swiftly onwards.
Let's have.
Do we have any cannons? So I think Mr. Top Gun 303 asked this earlier.
Yeah.
Do we have any cannons? I don't know, Callum. Do we have any cannons?
Do we? We might have.
No, I don't think we do have any cannons.
No. Don't scratch the table. I mean,
it's not a cannon.
It's if it looks like a cannon, smells like a cannon.
Does it taste like a cannon?
I don't know. Have you had a tetanus shot? So this is actually a signal cannon.
Signaling cannon. Yes.
For boats.
For boats, for races, that sort of thing.
It's yacht racing.
Yacht racing.
Yeah.
Actually, so the breech just comes up. Be careful.
Yes, sir.
Scratching there. So the back comes out. It actually uses shotgun cartridges, not filled shotgun cartridges.
No,
so what you end up.
They use blanks.
Yeah. What you can do is get a shotgun cartridge. You chop it open, remove all the shot from it, and then it makes a pop. I might as well make a video on them. There's actually two of them. That's in the gun room here. We won't get the other one because they're quite weighty. But yes, you can actually own a cannon within the UK, and funny enough, you can get cannons under a shotgun license.
Yes.
Because they are a smoothbore gun. This one is actually, I believe, Section 1 because of the length. So within the UK, a shotgun on a Section 2 certificate has to have a minimum length of 24 inches. Obviously, this is a lot shorter than 24 inches.
Yep.
But if you got a smoothbore cannon, obviously, and it was 24 inches long, you could get it on a Section 2 shotgun certificate. Any shorter, single shot, then it's going to be Section 1.
And Section 1 only for purposes of signalling.
And Alex has clarified Section 1 only for the purposes of signalling. We just like signalling to each other, don't we? From across.
As an RFD.
Yes. And Alex is an RFD, so he gets to. So these are stop. So if you're interested in buying a Canon,
for the gun room.
yeah, if you're interested in a Canon, Alex can hook you up. Let's just keep.
Anyway, with a Canon, as we all know, it's not the length that matters, but it's the width that counts.
That's what he tells himself.
Yes, so David Kiddle, of course, we can't forget about for 22WMR, the Keltec CMR 30s are coming in. So while we were out in Sweden, we actually spoke with, I think it was Joe Easter, who works with Keltec, and he did nothing, of course, but sing the praises of the gun. Considering how well he placed in Sweden, though, I would be inclined to believe him when he says that the Keltec 22WMR is.
So we well, I think Connor's more than anyone had to eat a bit of humble pie. So on the opening ceremony night, we were there having a few drinks, and we were sat there with Joe Easter, and then we started chatting like what we did when we weren't shooting. Well, we shoot all the time. It's a full-time job, and so is Joe Easter. So he works for Keltec full time, and he said, "Well, I'm shooting their bullpup," and Connor's was like, "Do you expect to do well with it?"
I don't think I quite said that.
I think that's the impression you got.
I asked, actually, and from talking to him, he gets that question a lot.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's in the magazine world's in the wrong place, but quite obviously,
he came third or second.
I don't remember, but he placed, and that is one hell of a thing to do, and it just goes to show, actually, I suppose, a bullpup is no more or less competitive than any other gun.
Exactly.
It's down to the competitor, and that's where I think IPSC specifically shines, because it allows the competitor to come through and for it not to be a game of who has the most money.
Well, that's what they always sort of pride themselves on with IPSC, is that it's the best all-round shooter as well. Is sometimes you go to a competition and it will favour strengths of shooters, whereas IPSC will try and level it. So if you're good at the close fast stuff, well, there will be close fast stages, and then if you're good at the long stuff, there'll be long stages. They try and mix it up.
One of the rules is that a stage should not test the competitor's athletic prowess, which allows it to be like an all-encompassing sport.
Yeah.
You won't get that at some non-IPSC matches where it can be a lot more varied. Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's going to be on the internet now.
This is okay with me.
So I've just got a lovely little message from a friend, from Dan. Yes, I think that's going to have to be my screensaver now.
It did taste like a cannon.
So, but yes, we're very excited. So for those of you that don't know, David Kiddle is part of the Calibre Innovations team, and they are bringing in the 22WMR Keltec.
And after having talked with Joe and really sort of becoming confident that he knows what he's talking about, I have great hopes for the 22WMR coming in.
And there's a number of guns actually that Calibre are bringing in, or they're developing at the moment, that we've been promised a few times we're going to see.
Yeah, so David, we're still waiting for a few guns, but once we have them in, they will be all reviewed. And actually, we're quite looking forward to looking at some of the guns, because we think they might be, dare I say it, game changers.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, so clay shooting, two eyes are one.
Well, there's a video on a very good channel, this one, and it depends who you ask, right, between one eyes and two. And I say it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it really doesn't. If you find a way that you shoot with consistently, then you do it. I've watched at the both. No, it wasn't the Bretta. Yeah, the Bretta Worlds last year and the CPSA World Shoot. I watched top level shooters doing both, and I think even Ben Hustlewaite goes into detail and says that he will change it up for certain shots. He will use one eye or two eyes. It doesn't matter. And what I really hate is that somebody that's new to the sport goes and gets instructions and they say, no, you have to shoot with both eyes open, you have to do it.
Well, that's actually about building good habits early on. So it's okay to pick up your gun and mount with one eye squinted, let's say, to build your sight picture, but you really want to get both eyes open to be able to track the target better and see the space around it, which is what you need to see when you're leading a clay. So Mochaccino, he shot with what? He shot with a Keltec bullpup 5.56 rifle. And also, were there 5 stages with a little bit of athleticism at RWS? No. None of them were a test of stamina, and that's what it comes down to. All of it is an anaerobic run. There were runs, but they all had stopping points.
Yeah, there was no straight sprints.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there would be slight advantages for some athletic in terms of off the mark and stopping.
All of the rundowns had targets down the side of them. You were required to stop and shoot. None of them were a straight. You could run straight down, but you'd be losing a couple of 100 points in the process.
Yeah, it's a balance.
If you chose to miss those targets out, you wouldn't be doing yourself any favours.
Yeah.
Have you tested more guns than GTV? No. Swiss rifle behind us. It's not a K11. It is a. It's not a K11. It's something.
It's not. That's not my.
It's not
my genre.
It's not a K11. We actually had this clarified by a customer.
It's the shorter version of the KLF.
So this gun predates.
Turn it the other way.
This gun predates the K11, as far as I understand it.
So we're talking about straight pulls in terms of ARs. Straight pulls is not a new thing. So this is one of the original straight pulls.
Yeah.
So my phone's buzzing as well. I'll try and ignore that. So one of the original straight pulls, it gets a lot of attention. Actually, people tend to get drawn to it when they come into the gun
It's
room.
very nice.
As well,
it's a very nice gun. They're very cheap and extremely accurate. Well, for some people. Yes, you can.
So, Richie Bray. So, hi Richard. Have you ever come across a practical stage that a wheelchair user could have a go on?
Lots of them.
Absolutely.
Lots and lots of them.
And actually, there weren't that many stages at the Rifle World Shoot that a wheelchair user would
the
be
Rifle World
disadvantaged.
Shoot was probably a bit of an anomaly. You probably would have needed some special access to actually get to some of the stages.
Yes, there was some trekking involved.
But all of the stages had platforms on them. Now, the sport is accessible to all. You might not be able to access every single competition, but the vast majority of them will be more than accommodating.
Yeah.
And you will be able to run the stages.
Thinking of
the hard, you have hard ground with gravel on top, which is probably some of the worst you come up against. A lot of it is grass. Certainly, if it's raining, there might be a problem there. But I think at the last match we had the Coats of Iron at Northcotes, we actually had some very deep gravel, which probably wouldn't have been suitable. So it's down to you to check with the range organiser. But I think you'll find that most of them.
I'm thinking in terms of the UK at least, Carlisle, which was a match that we filmed, both corners and shot at. You would have no issues at Carlisle.
No.
It's all flat and it's all contained. Even Dartford, the British Masters,
will be fine as well. Yeah.
So again,
Dartford's actually very, very wheelchair accessible.
Yeah. So it doesn't. Yes, I think if you're looking at going to a world shoot, there are going to be some stages that unfortunately you're just not going to be able to do in a wheelchair. But in terms of general practical shooting in the UK, you would be able to do, I'm going to say, a good 80 to 90% of it without too much trouble, especially if you have an adapted wheelchair as well that is more suited for off-road. So,
do we have an FN foul there? Unfortunately, not.
No, I wish. We do have a 416 and a 522. I did actually see somebody talk about the Sig Sauer 522. So I think that was actually in response to a previous question, which was in terms of recommending a first gun. I would say absolutely the 1522. Like, you can do so much with it. I know people are now going to argue and say, no, you should go for the Chris, no, you should go for Northwest Custom Parts, no, you should go for the 522. I think in both of our opinion, go for a Smith & Wesson 1522. The amount of bits that are available out there, it's a good gallery gun, it's certainly a good practical gun, it's a good plinking gun, you can even go hunting with it. it's 2-2. So when the zombie apocalypse comes, you'll be more than good.
We're not going to get onto that topic.
No, but we do have, just as a point of reference. So these are 2 stock guns. So someone was referring to the 5.22. This is the 6 Hour 5.22 in 2.2 rimfire. This is a semi-automatic 2.2, and it's a very reliable gun. I know loads of people that absolutely rave about these.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that puts me off is the fact that it's not full AR, and that the components
are... of course it's not full AR.
Yes. So, I mean, compared to a 1522...
If you want an AR, you buy an AR. If you want something that's not an AR, one of these will serve you very, very well.
But for the sort of shooting that you tend to do with them all, I think the 1522 is far better suited, or even the Chris. But this is a super reliable 2.2. And then get onto a 2.2 that is less reliable...
Really? Is it?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the Umarex HK 416. Obviously a very famous gun, certainly within the military, and actually very popular within the UK. I believe that they stopped production of these now.
I don't know.
I just have something in the back of my head that says that you can't buy these anymore. So this was actually the gun that I was looking at getting before I bought the 1522, and I was sold on it. It's full metal construction, it's weighty, it feels like a proper gun. The issue is that all the internals are like sealed off. If you start playing around with the trigger, or you have to take it apart for maintenance, to clean it or whatever, you void the warranty. And again, getting upgrade parts for it, different parts, just seemed like an absolute ball ache.
Yeah, this is built more like a toy rather than a serious competition gun.
And what a lot of people have said before is they're more like a converted sort of airsoft gun, and that's of course what Umarex is more known for. And also I heard that the reliability certainly isn't as good as say the 1522 or even the Chris. The Chris is growing on me, certainly after seeing Dan's custom Chris
We may
Defiance.
have another gun being thrown into the works too, but I will let you know about that when the time comes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's news to me. Or have you already told me and I've forgotten?
I've already told you and you've forgotten.
Oh dear. Okay. Never mind.
If it doesn't revolve around him, he doesn't tend to sort of like retain the information.
It's my channel, alright? Anyway, how about any Derringers there? Do we have any Derringers there?
I did go and grab the safety pistol. It's not strictly speaking a Derringer.
Okay.
This is a deactivated gun, of course, but this is would have been, I think, a 2.2 rimfire. I'm not entirely sure. But cock the hammer, open the breech, and pop around in there. Close the breech, and pew,
bang. Yeah, so I mean, you could own a Derringer here, deactivated as like an antique piece or collector's piece, but you're not gonna, unless you get a long barrel Derringer, which is going to be ridiculous.
If anyone asks, yes, this is a gun for ants.
That's right. Or actually, it fits my hands perfectly. Look,
tiny
it's
baby
like
hands.
it's a gun that actually fits me.
The SIG will be a more reliable system. Yes, it will be. But there are more reliable guns than even the SIG out there, which we would recommend taking into a competition.
When you don't play with them.
Yeah.
So Connors is very much a tinkerer, and when he first got the 1522, he did his thing. Now, bearing in mind that there have been incredible parts and products that have come out of that tinkering, he did have a few reliability issues with his 1522, but you fixed it now. It's all good now, right? I hope.
Yeah, it just literally needed to be running.
Okay. All right.
I ended up. There was nothing wrong with anything I did to the gun for once. No, the gun was just really, really new, and after it had a few more thousand rounds through it, once we're testing the muzzle brake, it started to function just fine after that.
Awesome. And mine, I mean, you always need to give a bit of run into a gun, but the 1522 that I bought a number of years ago, that has run flawlessly. Again, actually, until recently when I started mucking about with it, put a new, upgraded the firing pin, put a titanium firing pin in it, and I was doing some, oh no, it's the trigger.
So you put a titanium firing pin in, and then he called me almost in tears because the gun wouldn't function.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his titanium firing pin. He had fitted an aftermarket trigger, which was a cassette-style trigger unit in there, and it needed a shim underneath the trigger to bring the hammer up to the correct height to strike the firing pin. Yeah,
and that's it. At the end of the day, although the 1522, I mean, that is one thing that the Chris Defiance has over the 1522. The Chris Defiance is more mil-spec.
The Chris Defiance, you can, it has the auto sear block in it, but apart from that, you can fit pretty much anything and it will run straight off the bat.
Whereas the 1522 is designed more as it is from the ground up a 2.2 rifle. So dropping in, say, like a CNC trigger in it, which is designed for a mil-spec AR, you might get a few issues with it, like I did. Also, I know a lot of people, and this is the reason that I ended up putting the titanium firing pin in there, is that the CMC is a lot harder and has a lot more strength and can end up breaking the original firing pin. And Alex has come in looking very perplexed.
What's the most amount of guns you can own? Is there a limit? Can you own 100? It depends on what the police let you have.
But
sadly,
in terms of law,
it's down to what you have safe storage space for.
Yes, but theoretically there is absolutely no limit, and actually within Section 2 there is no limit. So again, if you can safely store it, you can have as soon as you've got a shotgun license, you could go out and buy 200-300 shotguns. I don't know where you would store them or what you would do with them. I mean, I think Alex again has 56 personal firearms on his FAC, between his FAC and shotgun. Again, Alex is a bit of an exception because there's a game shoot here, and he's bringing the goodies out because there's a game shoot here and there's an RFD. But that just goes to show, you can build up a collection fairly easily with a Section 2 as long as you've got the storage for it. Now, Alex has bought a few boxes. And this is going back onto the subjects of long-barreled pistols and long-barreled revolvers.
Going back onto the subject of Alan Westlake, as a matter of fact.
Exactly. So
don't tip the gun backwards.
This is a UK legal revolver. No. So there is no coat hanger. There is no long-barreled. This is a revolver. The only thing is that it's referred to as a muzzle loader.
It's actually called a cylinder loader because it loads into the cylinder, but it's in the same category as a muzzle loader because it does not take metallic cartridges, which is a traditional bang button freedom seed type.
But you have to get a special jig with these to press in the lead. They don't use normal bullets. You have to put in like a black powder. But this is, I would say, the closest thing to a revolver that we can own. Yep. I would actually personally pick a Chiappa Rhino because you get to use 357 and 38 special on it. But if you want the feel of a revolver in terms of the recoil, not having that rod, not having that long barreled, then that's what you want to go for. And Alan Westlake is, he's a bit of a genius when it comes to handguns within the UK.
Probably one of the last few proper gunsmiths we have left. T3, do we have 3-gun in the UK? Well, we have a
yes.
We have a club called KFC who did their utmost to bring 3-gun into the UK as much as they possibly could. There was another company who, for whatever reason, decided to go after them in sort of like a legal dispute. KFC still tried to do 3-gun, but I think they probably had the wind blown out of their sails because of what this company tried to do to them.
They do multi-gun now.
They do multi-gun, so it's UML. Multi-gun.
UML. So 3-gun, in terms of 3-gun, like UML and 3-Gun Nation are both 3-gun competitions.
Yes.
Obviously, a 3-gun competition is using 3 guns. It's rifle, pistol, and shotgun. Now, what happened was that Kentucky Firearms Club, which is actually my home office approved club, it's the club that I will be applying under my FAC when I go to do that, and they brought 3-Gun Nation within the UK. And then, as Connor says, for whatever reason, it was, I think their full name is 3GN UK Limited, decided to mount a legal challenge because apparently by running 3-Gun Nation matches they were damaging.
We're not
their
going
name.
to talk about that too much because we're naming names. So let's move on.
Yeah. But anyway, you can do 3-gun within the UK.
Yep.
Bluefield Sports actually does 3-gun nation training with you're an instructor, and also we work with Mike Darby, who's big on the 3-gun circuit.
And that's actual 3-gun nation, as his logo shows.
So where the conflict came from was that KFC was calling it 3-gun nation UK, whereas we're actually at Bluefield Sports using 3-gun nation. It is the
which
US
is the
3-gun nation.
the parent
Yes.
of all the others.
So yes, you can.
Slap Callum. Of course, he's ranting. Moving swiftly onwards.
No.
Yes.
I will ban you, Mochaccino.
You can't.
I will ban you. Yes.
You can't ban him. Do you know how many alt accounts he has?
Yeah, but as soon as it comes up slap, I'll take him out. Yes.
If you're in Canada, there is a level 3 IPSC shotgun match happening in September, which Magload are one of the sponsors of. So you might want to. I believe it's in London, which is in Ontario.
And in terms of sponsoring, it's prize table, isn't it?
Yep. So we're giving some kit for the prize table. So that should be interesting if you're interested in some IPSC shotgun, which is possibly one of the most addictive sports in the world.
And expensive. As expensive as you want to make it, which is very. So I know a couple of people have asked, I think it's Dan and actually Arius that have both asked this, but in terms of the KFC shoot tomorrow,
we're not going tomorrow.
We're not going tomorrow, but we will be there the Monday. So I think it's Ryan, Alex, Connors and I. We're heading up Monday morning, so we'll be doing. I think they're doing a speed still match, and I've heard something about 100-plate practical shotgun team challenge. So I don't yet know exactly what that's going to involve. But I'm sure as it's 7 sides, we'll be taking a bunch of guns up and having a lot of fun. Also, I don't know in terms of the legalities of this, and I'm sure if David is watching at the moment, he's going to hate me for saying this, but if you're about 7 side, obviously the 7-side bridge between Wales and England, if you fancy coming down and trying it, get in contact with Kentucky Firearms Club. I'm sure if legalities permit, you'll be more than welcome, and KFC are a great welcoming bunch, and I can't push that club enough, basically.
£2,000 shotgun is expensive. Shoot Pump Action, you can get the best shotgun for around $600, I think.
Did you want to talk about expensive shotguns?
No.
Yes. Get it.
What shotgun do we use for competition? Benelli M4? No.
Oh. So we want to talk about expensive shotguns. This is a bit of a... No, not that one.
Well, he's asking what gun do I use for competition?
Okay, so after the competition, you want to talk about expensive shotguns. We will indulge the high-end...
Let's have a vote. Do you guys want to see a really expensive shotgun, or do you want to see a competition shotgun?
So we're going to wait on this.
Go!
We're going to wait on this. So do you want to see a custom Beretta, or do you want to see a tricked out Benelli M2? Let's see.
It's not an M2.
Not M2. Supernova. They're all the same, aren't they?
Both. They're both shotguns.
They've spoken.
They've spoken.
Both.
Well, one person's spoken and one person's been indecisive.
Let's see both. It's going to be both. Both. Here we go.
You guys are no fun.
Brilliant. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Both.
Right. So let's start with the best gun. So this is my Benelli Supernova. It is a pump action shotgun. I use this for competition. I don't do too badly with it either. This is a very inexpensive gun. We can get them brand new for about £650. I reckon they're probably about $600 in the US.
But it's been heavily magload.
There is a lot of stuff missing from this gun, which probably should still be in there. A lot of material has been removed.
Go through what you've changed on it.
I don't think we've got enough time for that.
Well,
we've got a lot of bits cut off of it, but magload plug-in goodness. I have this hyper lightweight carbon fibre tube. I have a magload shot saver, and I have magload short action bars fitted. This also has probably the most extreme port job ever done to a Supernova, to the point where I've actually worn the trigger group out by loading it. because I made the plastic a bit too thin in areas. The pump handle's been chopped down, and the trigger is heavily modified, to the point I would never recommend anyone else do this unless they're prepared to fully service their gun before every competition. Now, what Callum is bringing along is the polar opposite of this gun. It's a full custom Beretta.
So you asked for both, so I thought we might as well give you both. So this is a custom Beretta Jubilee, and I don't think this camera is going to do it justice. If you want a closer look at it,
there is the Gunroom TV video.
Yes, go over to Gunroom TV and search Beretta Jubilee. Now this, as you will see on the top there, is a pair. So this is number 2 of the pair, but it is absolutely stunning. And Alex has a lot of stock guns in here that are very good. You know, from the very basic Silver Pigeon up to a EELL. This thing, even next to a EELL Deluxe, just shines. You can see like the barrels just look wet. It's absolutely stunning.
The gun is worth more than Callum is, although I don't suppose that's saying much.
Yeah, and I'll just try and do it justice here. Having a look at the engraving, let's try and get closer. It's all deep hand engraved. Every bit of metal has some sort of engraving on it. It's just absolutely beautiful. The scene on the side there, you've got the top lever and then the stock, the wood. I mean, that's like full-blown exhibition grade wood.
I think people want me to bring the pump action back.
Okay.
Put that back on the wall, just so you don't drop it.
So I'll well, you're going to talk more about the shotgun, aren't you?
Yeah. So you guys are asking a bit more about this. So first of all, Match Saver, is the Match Saver banned in UK PSA or IPSC? No, it is not. There was a rule clarification which said that the Match Saver must be empty when you're leaving a stage. That's all it ever said. There was never any talk of banning them. However, you do have to be careful when you reload them not to have your finger in the trigger whilst using one. Have we opened up the port and cut the lifter? The port is very open for a supernova, and lots of bits of the receiver have been shaved away. The lifter has not been modified though, because on a supernova the lifter stays down while you're loading it. You don't need to modify the lifter on this gun.
So why don't...
Rack that baby.
No, do one better.
Yep.
Why don't you get your belt on and you show them how you load?
Do you guys really want to see me mess up a load on camera?
Yes. You know what they're going to do now. So, he's talking the talk. I think he better walk the walk. So go on, get your belt on. Dance, monkey, dance.
This shotgun takes up to 3.5 inch, but we use these short action bars to bring it down to a 3 inch.
It's ultimately a hunting gun, isn't it? It's like a wildfowling gun.
Yeah.
That people have modded very well to practical shotgun. So yeah, I think
box-fed shotguns, e.g. Typhoon F12. I would not recommend an F12. Unfortunately, there's actually very few box-fed guns I would recommend. All of them will require you spending a large amount of money. So
the box feds end up leading you to a lot of swearing and frustration on the range. The only exception, there's a couple of exceptions, which is the Dissident Arms KL12. Do you want to go get your belt? They want to see you load. Get your belt. So there's the Dissident Arms KL12. Unfortunately, that's like a £5,000-6,000 gun, which means that, well, it puts it out of most people's price bracket straight away. Then there's also the UTAS, and before everybody goes, what the hell are you talking about? The UTAS out of the box is utter rubbish, unfortunately. However, there are a couple of people within the UK that can heavily modify them and make them a winning gun. So I think arguably at the moment within the UK PSA practical shotgun circuit, the sort of two people that seem to trade first place is Ben Ducker and Sam Crane. Ben Ducker, he was using an F12. He's now gone to a Dissident Arms KL12, and there's also Sam Crane, who actually uses a modified UTAS. But the UTAS is no longer the same gun. It's had so much change to it. That's probably why it works. So Connors has gone off to get his belt. He is going to get geared up and show you some loading, show the magician at work, and also demonstrate actually the flagship product of Magload. So Magload started making quad loaders for practical shotgun, and the flagship product is the Nexus, which is belt mounted. The belt as well is a Magload product. They're actually quite new, and despite me ribbing him many times about putting a seatbelt on a belt, it is a very good idea, has gone down very well.
Yeah, with regards to the belts, we made all sorts of buckles to try and pin down what we wanted from a belt. We even made our own massively oversized ski buckle ratchet thing, but we found there's an issue with lack of flexibility plus breakages when you start putting a lot of strain on the belt. Stock Vepper, if a Monarch Vepper is going to be good. There are people in the UK who can do magic with the UTAS to make them very good. The Distant Arms KL12, I'm sure you've spoken about already, is probably the gun to go for. And the
if you hate money.
And the Armsan RS12 looks to be a bit of a sleeper. Stock, they're not much to speak about, but modified, well, I think we'll wait and see.
So Connors is going to do his thing. So if those of you that don't know about practical shotgun, one of the biggest things is your loading. If you don't get your loading down, you're not going to do very well. And at a stage you can be firing 25, 30 shots, and unless you're going to have a 30 round tube, which is going to be completely impractical, most tubes are around total capacity in a shotgun around 10, so you're going to have to do a fair amount of loading. The most efficient way at the moment is a quad load, which takes a lot of skill. So I'm obviously limited because I'm using a Stoga M3000, a fairly heavily modified M3000, but it's a section 2, so I can only dual load at the moment. Connors has, I would say, mastered the quad load.
I can do it sometimes. We're not put under extreme pressure.
So he's gonna go for it.
We're gonna go for a quad load.
He's gonna go for a quad load. So do one slowly first. So okay. Show what a quad load actually is.
So I'm going to grab 4 cartridges like that. I'm going to put 2 in the gun and then the next 2 in behind it. Like that.
And that is a quad load, a fairly respectable time of a quad load.
Yeah, that was roughly about 15 to 20 seconds for that load, which I think is probably one of my better times.
So I've always battled, so when I had a section 1, I never actually graduated to quad loading. And that's because for me it was about reliability. I had gotten, where I'd used a section 2 so long, I was actually, well, a lot faster dual loading than I was at the quad loading. I never made the switch. But yes, if you're as good as Connors,
I'm not that good. There are people out there much better than I am.
He's still pretty. He's very modest, isn't he?
And I managed to mess up both of those.
But still, that was a pretty fast way of getting 8 cartridges within the gun, so you can't really argue. So I think he's going to leave it there before he does anything too embarrassing.
And yes, they are dummies.
And yes, just to clarify, that's very important. They are dummies. Actually available from both Blue Field Sports and Magload as well. They sell it's the Dave dummies, but they are made specifically for Blue Field Sports because they're blue. But they're available.
Let's have a quick talk about dummy cartridges.
Yeah, so
there are a lot of dummy cartridges out there that are available. You buy them in like 1 or 2 and they cost like £5 a cartridge.
Yeah.
These are made to be as close to the real thing as possible, down to having lead and a wad, and it even has some buffer in the bottom to mimic powder, but as you can see, there is no primer whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're roll crimped for durability and they're carded so you don't lose shot over time. These are very well made dummy cartridges, and as Callum said, they're available from Blue Field Sports.
Oh, and Magload as well.
Yeah, and Magload as well. I don't have them on the website yet.
Do you not?
No, I don't know. Or maybe we do. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They'll be coming soon on Magload. But if you really want them now, get in contact with Bluefield. Well, they're on the Bluefield Sports website if you wanna buy some. I think they're £25 a box.
Yes, £25 a box plus shipping.
Yeah.
Can I do a rainbow coloured Nexus? Yes, I can. It might end up being quite expensive since we charge per colour.
Yeah.
But, we've got a custom loader coming this way right this second. So this is Alex's personal loader, which is blue and black. We do this sort of custom work all the time.
I think about 12 different colours.
We have 12 different colours on hand at any one time. We've got a range of 60 colours that we could choose from.
Yeah, so really the sky is the limit. But
this is the very, very first Nexus loader that was not black, actually.
Yeah.
It was my personal one, and it was a bit of a learning experience. And lots of other people have used this, but I never actually get to use it myself because I end up lending it to everyone.
That's what it's all about, and that's what you always find within Practical Shotgun is that sort of a community, and people are always happy to lend gear, or as not as the case may be.
This has been used all over the world, but not by me.
But yes, in answer to the question, any colour you can think of, combination, Connors can sort it out basically. So, and a recommendation for semi-auto shotgun on a shotgun license.
This is a divisive question.
Well, first you have to clarify. So it's Carl Fisher. Are you talking for rough shooting, so for out in the field? Are you talking about clay shooting, or are you talking about practical shotgun? So if you define that, Carl, then we'll be able to narrow it down, because it's impossible to answer.
Well, we can answer, but there'd be a lot of different answers.
Yes. So let us know what you want to use it for, and we'll try and give us. We'll give you our opinion. So any other questions that we've missed out? Keep them coming. I know we're trying to get through as many as possible, but anything you want to ask.
So Fred Morrison keeps saying Stoger. Yes, the Stogers can be very reliable. At the moment, I think Alex has sold quite a few new Stogers, and they've all run flawlessly. There has historically been massive issues with Stogers, but certainly the one that you first bought was one that ran flawlessly.
Which was before, I think it was even before the M3K came out. So I bought an M3000 as a practical gun. We went straight down to a clay ground, and I was running 21 gram loads through it reliably.
Because he's a wimp.
And it's been one of my, probably aside from the Silver, I have actually a habit of buying reliable guns. The Silver Pigeon's never let me down. The Smith in competition certainly has never let me down, and the Stoger has never let me down either. So yeah, don't go and buy a 3500 as my friend John Ellis did. It's not going to make a good practical gun. You need to be running 3.5-inch shells out of that gun. If you buy a 3000 and get it pimped, or just go and get the M3K. So Carl Fisher said,
"Bye, Dan."
Oh, is Dan going?
Dan's going.
Oh, many kisses. And then this is just while we're on the subject of it. This is the Stoger M3000. So my practical gun, as you can see, this is actually not the trigger unit for this gun, because we're currently welding the original lifter so that it's going to be easier to load. But you can see I've got the port work done on it. On my trigger guard, I've got the trigger unit. I've got enlarged safety on there. Also the enlarged bolt handle. I haven't got round to it, but I do have an enlarged bolt release to put on it. And that will get on there as well. But this has served me so well, and this gets used and abused. We use it as a demo gun and a training gun as well.
Yeah, just clarify that. It's not your gun.
It's yes.
It's the gun that you use.
Again, as I started off in the beginning of the stream, it's not my gun. I don't have the license for it to be my gun, but it's kept here at Bluefield Sports. That
you use it.
That I use, but it's my go-to gun for practical. But
But
this is what you really want to buy.
So this is a Stoga M3K. This, as far as I know, the customer bought it new fairly recently. They've brought it into Bluefield Sports to have some work done on it, and work on it I have. It's had the port opened up fairly considerably. There is not much left in that port there, but it is very slick, very quick and easy to load.
And apart from that, there's not a huge amount you need to do to these guns.
No, so literally the port job is the only thing that needs to be done to this gun. They have the two-piece shell latch in it, which is one of the things that makes the 1301 a good gun over the stock M2 Field. They come pre-fitted with an extended bolt release and an extended bolt handle. These don't, and they have the oversized safety on there, and they come with a pre-extended magazine tube, which is not a 9-round tube, it is a 10-round tube, which is
and
exactly where it should be.
And this is where it gets...
sorry, it's not an 8-round tube, it's a 9-round tube.
I believe this is where this gun gets ridiculous, that the M3K is only £75 more than the standard M3000.
Yeah.
So you're getting the tube...
Don't forget the adjustable stock. It has... Does it have the shims, this one?
I'm not sure. It
does. So Alex is saying it does have the shims, and that is probably one of the single most important things if you want to be fast.
Yeah, and it's drilled and tapped.
Yep.
You've got the shims, enlarged safety, enlarged bolt release. It does come with a sort of a port cut. You then got the enlarged release and the tube for £75 more. So it's just an absolute no-brainer. If they made one in a Section 2, I probably would have gone for that as my go-to.
This is a inertia-driven gun, Mochaccino. This is almost a one-for-one copy of the Benelli M2 with the difference of where the recoil spring is. Rather than the recoil spring being down in the stock, it is actually up here underneath the handguard a la Beretta 1301.
And that is something to consider when you are looking for a practical gun. So I previously owned the 1301, which was a gas gun, and it means that you can actually shoot it, I'd say, more reliably. You don't need to work or be aware of how you're shouldering it or your stance. With the inertia-driven guns, you do. If you don't shoulder it right, it will cause problems to feed and to cycle. Yeah. But as long as you've got your shouldering down and your stance down, you won't have an issue.
So, Fred Morrison, looking for a second-hand Stoga for practical, don't buy a second-hand Stoga. As I said before, historically there's been a lot of issues with them, and you don't know if you're going to be buying a lemon, but certainly all of the new ones that we've seen go out the door have been absolutely fine. There was another question from Rob AW1. Can you recommend a general-purpose pump-action shotgun? Benelli Supernova.
Or if you want to go old school,
Benelli Supernova.
A Remington 870. Again, it depends what you want to use it. If you just want a cool pump action shotgun that you might go and do a few clays with, get the 870 because I think everyone has to own an 870 at some point. But yeah, if you're going to go practical and just a general rough gun, then go and get a Supernova. They are incredibly well made guns for the money and can be made to race at the highest level.
So I would not recommend buying a brand new Remington 870. Unfortunately,
that is a caveat, yeah.
But this is an older Remington 870.
So this is a Wingmaster.
Yep, and this is a competition-ready gun. It's had a little bit of a port job done on it, but it's had a whole bunch of aftermarket parts thrown at it. If you can find one of these old Wingmasters, then yeah, these are great guns, and they're not expensive at all in the slightest.
So I used to have a Wingmaster 870, and I think it was from like the 1970s, and it was built to a far higher standard than the modern ones. I wouldn't touch the modern ones with an absolute barge pole. So just going back as well, because he did come back to us, Carl Fisher, so recommending a semi-auto on a shotgun license for clay shooting. What would be your pick?
Over and under.
No, he asked for a semi-auto.
Why? Semi-auto for clays. This is not my forte. Do you got?
Sorry. No, I'm tempted to say Beretta Extrema.
Yeah.
It's an expensive
like that
gun,
which has got a short stock. It's soft recoiling.
Or they did.
Gas operated, it's dirty. I mean, yeah, it's a great gun.
Yeah.
But depending on your level of shooting.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you just want a semi-auto to go clay shooting with, again, a Stoger. But if you're going to go start shooting top level when you want to go for that top level, then I would go for personally a Beretta Extrema, which the newer versions, I think it's the Extrema, is pretty much
the Extrema Plus.
Extrema Plus is like
there's
a 1301.
big difference between the guns. Mr. Top Gun 303, can you handle an LBP if it's not on your FAC?
Well, we can demonstrate this. So I'll grab one.
Remember specifically why.
Yes. It's 12.1. So I'm sure most of you are aware that I don't have an FAC, and I'm not an RFD. I'm not a servant, but I can legally handle this gun because of various exemptions within law. Now, yes, to be safe, you need to have an LBP on your license to be able to shoot it, but to handle, you don't. So there are two potential exemptions on this. There's the filming exemption, which is the exemption that I use. It doesn't allow me to shoot it, but it allows me to handle it for the purposes of filming. The other exemption that has been clarified via a firearms inquiry officer, an FEO, is in the terms of safety, and if you're not actually taking possession of it. So if you're on a match and you have an RO, so Connors might be your RO, and you're doing a long barrel pistol match, and there, you trip up, you hurt yourself, you might.
Well, what's more likely is during your load and make ready, you might pass the gun to the RO.
So you then pass the gun to the RO. Connors might not have an FAC or even a slot for an LBP, but in him handling that gun, he's not taking possession of it because the owner, the guy that's legally allowed to be in possession, is stood right next to him. If Connors was then to start taking shots with it, that would be another thing. Yeah. So just basic handling, you can be okay with. I mean, I'm pretty sure in saying that anybody can go into a gun shop and handle a long barrel pistol, because again, you're within the confines of a gun shop. You're not taking possession of that gun. So in terms of shooting, yes, the exact gun that you are shooting has to be on your license. So let's just say Connors and I both have FACs, and I've got a long barrel pistol slot, and Connors has a long barrel pistol slot. We both go and buy identical PPQs, but of course the serial numbers are going to be different. Even though they are exactly the same gun, and we would have on our licenses a slot for a long barrel pistol, we could not shoot each other's guns. It has to be the exact serial numbered gun on your FAC. There is some debate.
I do try and make it a habit of not shooting another man's gun.
Yes, you do it so often. Of course, Connors is a servant of the Bluefield Sports RFD as well, so it's like Connors is a little bit of an exemption when it comes to laws like this, because he's legally allowed to shoot.
Well, I mean, so I can shoot it. I don't know. I'm not sure I can use it in competition. I can lick it, but I am officially not allowed to be naked with any of the guns, which is a sad story indeed.
It is. That is actually, I think, the only rule in the gun room.
Apart from the law, it's my
apart from after the law, the only exception within this room is that we can't be naked with the guns. And
specifically, I can't be naked with the guns. You could be naked with the guns.
And also, we can't wrestle. We're not allowed to wrestle in here anymore,
No
which is a bit annoying.
No wrestling in the office.
Game on. So yes, so it's a bit of an anomaly within the UK law, but yeah, if you get tempted to try a long barrel pistol, don't just stay clear, just stay on the safe side of the law. But also something to add on, there's a bit of grey area in terms of testing a gun. Some people believe that if you have an open slot, so a slot that could receive a long barrel pistol, that you can legally go and test a gun under an RFD, and Alex is probably going and. It's a grey area.
It's a very, very grey area.
Yeah, it's a grey area.
An area not worth discussing, because there is no answer that might not get you in trouble on this one.
Exactly.
So, Gun Club, can everyone have an LBP if all members have the same gun on their ticket? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have in the past shared an LBP with someone by
you were just on camera.
I know, very
by us both having the same gun with the same serial number on both of our tickets at the same time. Can you use an LBP on a club ticket for members to use? Strictly speaking, no. Strictly speaking, playing it safe, the answer is no.
Yes. So
there are ways around it, but I think
I wouldn't even say around it. So as the law is at the moment, no. If you're in charge of a club FAC and you're thinking of going and buying a gun or a long barrel pistol for the club to use, you can't do that within law. However, there is a precedent that has been set. So there was a club in London that went to court over this, and they said, in terms of UK law, this is a rifle. There is no legal definition of a long barrel pistol within law. So it has the 12-inch barrel, it has the 24-inch length, it's a carbine, it's a rifle under law. And under UK law, you're allowed to use rifles as club guns. So they went in front of a jury, and the jury said, well, yeah, everything you've presented to us shows that it meets that definition. So they were lucky in overthrowing that. Now, you could use that as precedent, but you'd really need to know your stuff with law and be very confident you have a good lawyer.
Yep.
It's just not worth it. Until it's actually put there in law, you're going to have to be very brave to sort of go and test that one, basically.
I'm going to interject quickly.
So, don't show the address.
Tom, your order is ready to go. It will be shipped on Monday.
So Tom, who's ordered some dummy cartridges, that was Alex just fulfilling your order. So they will be going out. Oh, they won't be going out Monday because it's bank holiday.
we're going out Tuesday.
So it'll be going out Tuesday. We'll be with you Wednesday. There. So let's just catch up. Have we missed any questions? Keep the questions coming in, guys. We're going to keep going. Although, what time did you order?
It doesn't matter, I don't mind eating on camera.
Okay, so we do actually have a Chinese ordered coming because we thought we'd do it for 2 hours, but we're more than happy for you to watch us eat, and we'll try and talk in between the Chinese.
A vertical grip and a stock and an LBP or LBR? Yeah, because this is a rifle and you're allowed to put a stock and a vertical foregrip on a rifle, so if you wanted to, there's nothing stopping you from doing it.
Yeah, this is where it gets really funny because obviously a lot of people understand about the SBR laws within the UK, and obviously there was the SIG brace.
We don't have an SBR law.
And that's it. So again, like I explained earlier within the live stream, we have short arms and we have long arms. It's either a short or a long arm. Short arms are Section 5, long arms are able to, short arms apart from muzzle loaders and black powders. But long arms, well, you can do whatever you want with, basically. There's no, we don't have any restriction on caliber, only mechanisms and length. We should have that pinned. So we've just been given a little drawing. Thank you very much, Grace. So we need to use that in future. I've got nowhere to prop it up. So I'd keep an eye on the practical scene because I'm sure Grace is going to be introduced very shortly. Grace is one of Alex's children, and she's already a pretty keen shot. But obviously, because she's fairly young, not going on camera anytime soon. So let's have a look.
What's the matter? Are you guys getting tired? We're
tired.
not.
Yeah, come on, keep going. So what else? Can we talk about? Oh yes, our Joker piece. So Connors went to get this earlier, and I thought we'd wait.
So we were talking about extreme long-range rifle. I think there is room in this conversation for extreme short-range rifle.
So I can't actually get this all in shot, but
you lower the bipod, it only goes up.
I think you can see what this is. Obviously, it's a crossbow, but it's actually an AR-15 crossbow. So you can put mil-spec stock on it, mil-spec grip. It's got the safety, and I don't know if the trigger, if you can put another trigger. It looks like a mil-spec trigger.
There's no way to
I don't know.
before we take it apart. But it has a crank handle on the side.
Yes.
And
It's an absolute.
I think every
beast.
AR-15 should have a crank handle on the side.
So yeah, we're very much looking forward to giving this one a go. Unfortunately, we had a couple of arrows and they're now stuck in a tree.
Arrow trees have been planted, so we are expecting a fresh crop of arrows sometime next April.
I mean, there's still some very interesting guns here. We were talking earlier about 2.2 semi-autos, and I think this is one that we still have to give a quick mention to. If you don't know what this gun is, you've obviously never watched
anything.
Die Hard. This is, of course, the H&K MP5 with the traditional slap technique.
So
In
this is
2.2
specifically
semi-auto.
the SD5 model with the integral suppressor, or supposedly this is just a barrel shroud.
Yeah, it doesn't actually suppress it, does it?
But also this style of hand grip is the SD5.
And I believe again that this has been discontinued, so you can't actually
You
buy
cannot
them.
get these anymore now.
But yeah, again, it's not exactly a serious competition gun. It's a bit of fun. Sorry, I keep them. I'm sure they want to see the gun more than they want to see your face.
Ah, they want my face.
So yeah,
Is there much of a scene in the UK for full-bore practical? CSR is where that's at.
again, we talked about straight pull AR-15s, like CSR, so civilian service rifle. The NRA run it. There's many matches at Bisley, so go and check them out if you want to get involved. I don't unfortunately know who the contact is. Do GSG still make them? So I'm sure you're referring to the MP5.
Yeah, don't buy it don't buy it for any serious reason. If it's a plinking gun, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But they're not very reliable, unfortunately.
So Carl Fisher, another question: your view on snap caps for shotguns? Again, this can be, some people say that you have to use snap caps to be able to release the tension within the spring, so that it doesn't wear out the springs. Again, Alex, who's shot guns shotguns for I think as soon as he could walk, and has shot them all of his life. I don't think he ever uses snap caps. He's never had any sort of issue that has been related to not using snap caps.
The only gun that we've ever had display any sort of issue which might have been mitigated by use of snap caps was actually a virtually new gun. It was a Turkish gun, the ATA.
Yeah.
Did have one single failure to fire, which might be down to a weak hammer spring.
So I went and bought, when I first got the Silver Pigeon, I went and bought snap caps because people do sort of scare you. They're like, if you don't use snap caps, you're going to damage your gun, and it's going to wear out.
But these are the same people who tell you you can't dry fire a modern 2.2.
Yeah. So again, if you ask one person, you're going to get a different answer. We don't use snap caps.
No, none of these guns have snap caps fitted, unless it's a particularly old gun.
Yeah. And I've put thousands of rounds through the Silver Pigeon. I bought that again about 7 years ago. So, actually nearly to the day 7 years ago. So, and I used snap caps maybe for the first year, and I haven't since.
Here's a question that I could probably leave you alone for 15 minutes with. Martin Clark asks, how hard is it once having lost an FAC to regain one? I'll see you guys in a bit.
Well, yes. How long's a piece of string, really? So it depends. Unfortunately, there is no straight answer on it. It depends very much the circumstances in which you lost your FAC, and it then depends on what's happened in between losing your FAC and then going to reapply for it. I've heard of stories of people serving time in prison, coming out, and then 6 months later being approved for an FAC. Obviously, there's my case, which is despite not having a criminal record or having any sort of conviction, it's now over 3 years, and I've been told to reapply in May next year, which will make it 4 years. So in my case, it looks like it's going to be about 4 years. In others, it's a case of 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. The reason that I've been told that it's been stipulated as 4 years is that if you do serve a conviction, if you are convicted of certain crimes and serve, I think it's over 3 or 6 months in prison, then there is a mandatory 5-year period where you cannot hold an FAC. So the reason that it's 4 years for me is because if it was any longer, then it would actually be very close to if I'd actually gone to prison, which obviously wouldn't really stack up. How can you not go to prison and serve effectively a longer term than somebody that did? So it very, very much depends on the circumstances, and I think how much you potentially agitate your local police force, either intentionally or unintentionally. Certainly starting up a YouTube channel and talking about self-defense is a big no-no where that's concerned. But yes, hopefully at some point I will regain mine, and if people are going through a similar thing, if they want advice on either having your FAC taken away or reapplying it, get in contact with Bluefield Sports or through me, through EnglishShooting, either the Facebook page. Contact me directly. It's something that's obviously very close to my heart, and I know how it can feel being put in that situation. So anything that I can do to help if people are in that situation, just let me know. And then sensibility.
Is he still talking?
Sensibility reappears. With the SAG closing a Shield, where is the next best place for practical shotgun practice?
Your first choice should probably be Worcester Norton. There is a club in Popham that you could attempt to join, but I believe membership is currently closed. There's
KFC.
There's KFC, absolutely. Now, KFC is probably the one I would recommend.
So, Kentucky Firearms Club.
Especially if you're new to it.
Yeah, especially if you're new to it. Kentucky Firearms Club, their main premises is Bisley, so they end up renting out But Zero a lot of the time and other ranges. And they will have days which will just be general practice, or they'll do a number of competitions there. Or otherwise, he said Worcester Norton is a very good club.
Worcester Norton has got a lot of high-level competitors training there. Yeah. If you want to get good, you'd do well to try and join that club.
And it is a shame to see Shield shut, because there's a lot of people sort of that end of the country that are now going to have to travel significant distances. So we do hope somebody comes up with an idea or a solution to fill the gap that Shield has left.
It's not a slight to Steve and Rob Pike. As a matter of fact, it's a compliment that it is such a loss to people to lose the range.
Unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to go down to Shield, but you only have to speak to anybody that's been down there to know what an absolute gem it was for the shooting community and the size of the hole that's going to be left. So Mochaccino has asked, how good is Maglube really? So if those of you that don't know, Maglo actually makes its own lubricant, gun oil.
Specifically gun oil.
Specifically
not
gun
to
oil.
Be used for any intimate purposes.
But to answer how good it is, removes chafing so much.
It's designed for practical shooting, and I know how could you design an oil for practical shooting? Well, it's designed to be used in extreme conditions. It has the same performance characteristics at minus 20 degrees as it has at plus 230 degrees, which is its maximum operating temperature. It still doesn't flash until well beyond that point.
And you were the best example of this. You were telling me about it was the Scottish Masters last year.
Yep, so Scottish Masters, fairly prominent shooter came up. He was having problems with his gun. I went up to him and asked him what the issue was, and he says he thinks the oil he used was freezing. So I gave him some Maglube, which at that point I'd only ever made for myself, as I do with so many products. And he loved it so much, got him back shooting, that I had to start making it.
Yeah.
There's actually another gun that was being serviced today, which actually was failing to fire completely because the bolt wouldn't go into battery. Cleaned all the standard oil out of it, put Maglube in it, and the gun ran, because it takes so low friction that it takes almost no effort at all for two metal parts to slide over each other. But that's enough. That's enough plugging. You can buy at maglo.co.uk, your source for practical shooting equipment.
It's good stuff. It's very good stuff.
Again, like with a lot of the stuff from Maglo, I make it for myself first, and my aim in practical shooting is to try and win. So I've not quite made it yet, suffering the curse of second place many a time.
but that's it. That's why. I mean, long-term followers of the channel, you will. Well, it was 2 years ago that I first got the Nexus sent by Connors.
He really was. There was no one else to choose from.
Yeah.
It was like him or nothing, basically.
Yep. Well, I still got one, didn't I? So he sent me a load of gear, and I was aware of Magload, and obviously I was starting off in practical, and the quality of the stuff that Connors designs is incredible. And as you say, the reason for that is because he uses it himself. This isn't a massive, if I can say a Magpul, where the owner of the company is probably never going to actually go out and use it in the field. Connors uses.
Be careful what you say. I think Magpul's probably a bad example there.
Well, but Connors uses the stuff. Will develop it first. I mean,
it's not. And the thing is, the key thing I think is that the stuff isn't just used by me to win. It's used by all my sponsored shooters who all have a hand in development of one product or another.
And that's another big point is feedback as well. You listen to feedback and will take on board. And you have some of the best shooters in the country shooting with a Magload shirt. So what they know is always going to drip back into the product and make the product better.
Yeah. Rob AW1, can you apply for a semi-auto 2.2 pistol for pest control? That would be a question to pose to your FEO.
Yes.
You have to be able to demonstrate a need for the gun in order to obtain the slot, and it is your FEO who you'll have to convince that a long barrel pistol is the tool that you need to perform your job.
Yeah, so that's it. As long as you can justify it, but there is no legal reason why not. And yes, thank you, Arias, for jumping on to correct me.
Let's all jump on the bandwagon. Callum's wrong, everyone. Hey, it's not the first time, is it?
No, and it won't be the last. What I'm saying is that there are probably big firearms companies out there where the CEO couldn't give two toss, and that's not the case with Magload. There we go. I always get the two confused, but
I don't.
Well, of course you wouldn't. I'm dyslexic anyway. Leave me alone. Right. So, I think do you want to wrap it there for?
I don't know. Do you guys want us to wrap it up, or do you want to keep chatting? Is there anything else you want to chat about? I mean, someone mentioned Kentucky Fried Chicken, and unfortunately,
I'm getting quite hungry.
We have already ordered Chinese.
So no, I think we'll probably wrap it up there, guys. We've got our Chinese coming. I think we've tried to answer as many questions as possible. I'm really sorry if we didn't see your question or answer it, but there'll be next time. We're hoping to do this more regularly as well.
Did you guys enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do you want us to do it more regularly? Because I think we could possibly make this even a weekly occurrence.
Yes, I've said it every single time I've done a live stream that I want to get into a regular thing, and obviously having the gun room here with so many different products coming in and out, it's just the perfect time and place to be able to do it.
And certainly, if you want us to do this more regularly, we will arrange for it not to be filmed on a potato camera.
Hey, it's not that bad.
It's a potato.
We will get a proper setup.
Just one answer to Ben Stevens.
Yes. So,
no, right. So Ben Stevens, no, you cannot buy guns online.
You can put a deposit down online.
Put a deposit down, but you have to collect it in person.
And you can advertise a gun online in the UK. You can't actually do the transaction. But yeah, there we go.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
We will see you on the safety course. I'm sure that will be interesting.
Yes, and Arias, just to make this clear, that Arias Mochaccino.
You don't need to validate his comment by acknowledging it.
That's he is tan skinned, let's just say. So he's more than justified in saying that comment.
See, I've already said to you, I don't like casual racism. It has to be all out racism or nothing.
Don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining us and putting up with us rambling on for a couple of hours. I hope you've enjoyed it, and a big thanks to Connors for sticking with it as well. We'll try and do this more regularly, and we'll let you know with a bit more advance next time when it's going to be. But thank you, everybody.
We can't go just yet.
We
have an extra special guest here tonight.
So she's probably going to go straight. Oh no, yeah, she's going to show you her bum straight away. But yes, we'll call it there, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll try and do this more regularly. So have a good one, and I'll see you guys soon.
Bye.